Hey guys, Champion Stadium is back! And let's look at our special parameters for today. For round 1, we have special damage reduction. Round 2, we have permanent field effects. Round 3, we have sync move cooldown reduced by half. And round 4, we have Pokemon fainting will reduce stats. So which one do we choose for the first one? Who uses special attack here? Let's take a look. Lorelei. It's the same as last week. He uses physical more. Agatha. Oh, I think he uses special. Let's look at the boss hints. Watch out for special moves. Okay, round 1 will be used for Agatha. Okay, round 1 Agatha. Next, Lance. Let's look at the tips. He uses Fairy against him. Brace yourself for physical attacks. Attack with Fairy type. So this is physical. Lance is physical. Take a look at the boss hints. Watch out for physical. Focus on attack down and sleep. Oh, sleep? Okay, how about Bruno? Focus on trap. And anything else? Inflict trap. Use physical attacks to land critical hits. Why physical though? Okay, now anyway, let's look at the other special parameters. First one is for Agatha already. Agatha. Oh, I can't see this. Let's change it to blue. Okay. Agatha. Okay. Next, second one, permanent field effects. Stand by first. Then round 3, sync move cooldown reduced by half. I think this one is important. For normally round 3 people will use superior. Actually, just Rosa. Right? Sync move cooldown reduced by half. Then round 4 is fainting. So round 4 should be used for the easiest one. Then round 2, what weathers do you have? Do you have sunny day? Or do you use rain? Which one do you think is the easiest? I think it's Lorelei. Lorelei should be the easiest. We've beat it once before. I'm sure we can beat it twice. So maybe round 4, the fainting part, we'll use it for Lorelei. Then let's look at the sync Lance and Bruno use. They say they prioritize physical, right? I think Dragon Knight has Hyper Beam. Or use attack down and sleep. If you're using weather, sunny day is offensive. Rainy day, faster move gauge for some sync pairs. Hard to decide. Oh, alright. Since Bruno's afraid of water, right? You can actually use rainy day against Bruno, isn't it? To boost your water type damage. So the weather permanent for round 2, right, would be used for Bruno. And as for round 3, Lance. Okay. And last one, we know it's Lorelei, the easiest one. Okay. Let's begin with Agatha. Sync pairs I'm using are Stoutland, Dewgong, and Blissey. So it's technically free to play. Okay, let's begin. Okay, start with the buffs. For some reason, whenever I tried critting with Dewgong, right, it always fails in my match against Agatha. So I didn't really prioritize crit and mainly use crit for just accelerating the sync move countdown. And you want to save Stoutland's trainer move, the one that replenishes move gauge, for later when you're lacking move gauge. Because this team has a speed issue. So you want to delay Stoutland's trainer move for later. And Blissey can help heal Stoutland as well as buffing his defense, special defense as well. Since Agatha uses special defense, uses special attack moves. By right, you should spam Icy Beam with Dewgong. I'm using Ice Beam just because of I wanted to expand the gauge entirely before I use the trainer move of Stoutland. For this game, I aim Satu first because for some reason whenever I aim all three of them, aim the middle sync pair, right, I tend to lose every time. So prioritize Satu first. Afterwards you can aim go back straight. Or Drift Beam if you want to. Icy Beam is really good because it lowers the enemy speed. And it reduces their move gauge replenish speed. You just want to use Facade on Stoutland because it consumes the least amount of gauge. Okay, now Stoutland's dead. But now it's 2v2. Almost done. Yeah, Dribbling just needs one more hit. And you have to know that Dewgong's accuracy for Icy Wind is 95, so it's not 100% accurate. Okay, now just go back. Okay, I think it's in the back already. Okay. Sing move and... oh, he survived that. Oh yeah, I also use Blissey to burn go back at the start, just to inflict more chip damage. He doesn't really reduce his damage because he uses special attack moves. Oh yeah, Stoutland is also good because of his passive. When he's poisoned by go back, your move gauge will increase faster. Yeah, and that's the end of Agatha. Okay, next we have Bruno. And these are the sync pairs I'm using. Blastoise, Empoleon, and Serviper. I use Serviper just for the patch. And I tried using Rainy Day with Finona and Floatzo, but I couldn't deal enough damage. And your enemy for Bruno, right, has high defenses, so you want to use special attack for this. If you got Pokemon like Tech Bulbasaur with Ring Dance, you would try and get the type skill as well. Otherwise, if you got Blastoise, just use him. So for this matchup, you should use special attacks and trap if you can afford to do so. I sync move with Blastoise first because I want him to tank more damage. Blastoise is really good because it ensures your gauge is always almost maxed. And you can see that Trap deals 1.6k damage to Onyx because it's under one of the boss hints for Bruno. So you could use Rapidash for this. I'll save Masquerain for later because Blue's afraid of bug types. And Blastoise is good because the enemy uses attack moves and Blastoise can buff your defense. If you have Pokemon like Third Wave, which increases your defense for all sync pairs and reduces your enemy's attack, that will be good as well. If not, you could try using AG Slash as well. It reduces your enemy's attack and can nullify moves. You see Blastoise Endure triggered. Endure activates after you use Blastoise sync move. and everyone gets one Endure buff. And Endure can only be used against normal attack moves, which means Endure doesn't work against the moves. It would be good if you could have Milotic. It's perfect for this situation. Water and Trap. And you don't need them to have like high Singrid levels, just level 1 will do. Most of the Sing pairs I use should be around move level 1, unless they are 3 stars without a developed Singrid yet. 3 or 4 stars without developed Singrids. Otherwise, my Sing pair should mostly be 1-5. Okay, now that we're done with Bruno, let's move on to lands. Use Sing moves quickly against all opponents. I didn't manage to use Rain Dance previously, but you could try it if you want to, or just Sunny Day with Rapidash. Okay, now for this game against Lance, you start with Charm to reduce Dragonite's attack. And you know his Sing move is incoming in 5 turns, so you want to hurry up. And for buff wise, I had Lillie that managed to draw at buff to buff Granbull, and Swanna for defenses. You definitely need a physical tank here, and Swanna's taking care of that. 6k damage is pretty decent. The only bad thing about Granbull is that his stats aren't that high, but it's decent enough at around 220. And you can reduce enemy attack, as well as increase your single damage with that. So Granbull would be a really smart choice if you have him. I had her at 4-5 so I could deal a bit more damage, and if yours is maxed out, that will be even better. In this game I aimed for Dragonite first. Oh, he survived Giga Impact. Oh, because there's Synchro Dragon Guard as well. Perfect for this situation. You want to spam Play Rough on Granbull because it's the highest damage move for Granbull. And for Clefairy, I used the move with the smallest gauge consumption, as well as the same for Swanna. Otherwise, just use Potions when you need to. You notice that during Champion Stadium games, right, your enemy will mainly use just the center Sing pair to deal damage, like how we keep saying Dragonite as the enemy's main attacker. So you want to aim his middle Sing pair first, unless you're confident that you can tank his damage until you even after you defeat the sidelines. And now that I've defeated Dragonite, right, they will start to use AoE moves like Rock Slide or Earthquake. Yeah, Earthquake. But since I had Swanna to buff everyone's defense, it's okay for me. And there's also Granbull that reduces the attack damage. Just reduce them like -2 each, and it'll work wonders for you. Look, it's even less than 100 damage for each of them. Also, AoE moves get reduced damage because they AoE damage gets halved when they deal damage to 3 Sing pairs. So at this juncture, if you still have 3 Sing pairs, it'll be easy for you to tank them. Unless they are super effective. Okay, now we're finally done with Lance, and next we have Lorelei, the easiest one. Okay, Lorelei, don't let your Sing pairs faint. You could try aiming the sides like they advise, or you could just aim the center Sing pair Dewgong if you're confident you can win it. For me, I aim Dewgong first, but if you can't win even after you try aiming Dewgong, you could try aiming Delibird first and see if it's better for you. Basically for Champion Stadium, just trial and error until you find a winning formula. For some reason I didn't manage to crit in this game as well. And I chose Medicham just because of the badge as well. For me, I'm using Pikachu as a striker. His grid is based on Paralysis Synergy and Power Reserves. If you've watched my previous video against Lorelei, it will make things easier for you if you have Pikachu as a striker as well. Otherwise, you could also use him as a healer if your Raichu can dish out enough damage. I didn't grid my Raichu, so I'm not really using him. And for Pikachu, everyone has a grid to him because it's free. Oh, I look like I'm losing. That's okay because Power Reserves has activated. Oh, you can see I deal way more damage now. Just nice for me. But one thing to be careful about is that your enemy has evasion. You see that Dewgong keeps avoiding my attacks. And once you're done with Dewgong, your enemy uses Blizzard. Delibird uses Blizzard. But it has a high miss rate, so maybe you survive this. Oh, but luckily Pikachu has Endure, so he survived this and dealt 5k damage with Paralysis Synergy and 2 Power Reserves, and that's... For my previous video, I mentioned that it was around 380% damage. Yeah, that's about that. That's about it. And now we have finished Lorelei and we're left with just Blue. Blue recommends us to use status conditions and lower their special attack and use bug types. Status conditions, for me, I'll recommend using damage over time, like Trap, Burn, Poison. But since it recommends bug type, right, and special attack down, and to watch out for Confuse, I use just Masquerain instead to trap. Okay, as for the additional special parameters, you could use special damage reduction, but I don't recommend that because it only lasts at the start. It's temporary. As for few effects, you could use Sunny Day or Rain depending on you, and Sing Move Quickly would work in all scenarios. As for try not to like or Sing Fast Feint, that depends on you. I don't think it's that good of a special parameter, so I use the reduce Sing Move cooldown one against Blue. Since I don't plan to use Red for this. So for you, you should choose between either weather, permanent weather, if it's to your advantage, or just faster Sing Move cooldown. And these are the Sing pairs I'm using against Blue. Superior for faster Sing. No, Superior for extra Sing boost damage, because she's 6-star X, and after Sing you get 2 Sing buffs instead. And that's an additional 100% damage, 2 times damage. And my main striker is Pinsir, and Masquerain's the debuffer calm tank. And you can add a bit of speed as well and trap Alakazam. And Superior takes care of your move gauge issues. Pinsir has pretty high stats, so you'll be sufficient as damage dealer. Otherwise, you could use your strongest bug type strikers if you have them. Special attack down really works well against this matchup. Okay, Pinsir's now Mega Evolved. and 1.5 Sing Boost. Not 1.5. That's 3 times Sing Boost, and that'd be around 2.5 times damage. And I use time to energize this early, too early this time, but still okay. And you can have mana refresh on Superior's energize, so that will be good for unlimited move gauge. For this game, I aim Alakazam first, because as usual, he's the main attacker. And I forgot to mention that Superior is really good in this case because she has one of the highest special defense in the game. You want to just start with Superior Sing move, and the rest just use either Pinsir or Masquerain. Masquerain could do decent damage as well, especially if you have higher grid on him, since his Sing move increases damage if your enemy is trapped, and Superior can buff special attack for her. As for Pinsir, it's just around 192 damage if I'm not wrong, and maybe you could just Mega Evolve him, and for the rest you could use Masquerain to Sing move. But my personal preference is Pinsir, so yeah. And you will notice that status conditions deal full damage against the side pairs, so you want to trap them at the start if you can as well, which I forgot to do, but I managed to do it the right Sing pair. Oh look, 1.3k damage, and it's inclusive of the status condition buff as well. Okay, now we're done with blue. Technically, this is quite free to play friendly as well, so you'll be able to handle blue easily, as he has more more special parameters as well. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. If you found the video helpful, please like, subscribe and share the video.